Hello everybody, I'm Paul and this is another Maximum Power video. Today I'm just doing a bit of a discussion piece really, and this is mainly due to a conversation we had, a few of us on Twitter last night. I'm recording this on Thursday the 11th of May, and unsurprisingly it was based around Superplay magazine. Now, you may have heard that I'm a bit of a fan of Superplay. For me, I've said about 1,000,000 times now, Superplay is the magazine that I absolutely loved. I still think it's one of the best magazines of all time. When you look back at great titles, you know, your Mean Machines, your Crash, your Superplay, it's up there, you know, with one of those which is so fondly remembered, and it's got its, you know, die-hard audience. Now, what we got talking about it was all thanks to one of the other Twitter followers. He just got another issue of Superplay because he's trying to collect them all, and we got talking, you know, a few of us, including Will Overton, artist of Superplay, about the end of Superplay and what would have happened afterwards. Now, with the final issue of Superplay, this came out just as I finished high school, or secondary school, back in 1996. Just having a quick flick at this. So we've got basically the penultimate issue here, from issue 46, dated August 1996. And looking back here, just to date it, that's why I'm doing this, we have got Superplay September issue, on sale Thursday 18th of July. Now, one thing that surprises me is it's, you know, quite advanced really, 6 weeks before, you know, that month that's on the cover of the magazine, because usually it would always be like, you know, if it'd be November, it'd be the December issue you're reading and things like that. But really, with a 6 week gap, I think Superplay have fallen into that sort of cycle of not the first Thursday of every month as it originally began. You know, it started sliding a little bit, you know, out as 47 issues. So what we had then, which many of you are aware of, is issue 47, the final issue of Superplay. Now, the main point of this video is I'm just talking about, and Nintendo Magazine System is going to help me, I'm just talking about if there was an issue 48 of Superplay, because this ended, dated September 1996, the N64 only came out in March 1997, so you've still got several months there where there was still a few Super Nintendo releases, some of them quite big, quite popular, and then a lot of crap as well, in all honesty. And that's basically what I'm going to back up with a few reviews in a couple of moments. So like I say, I'm going to try and keep videos, you know, to the point as I can, and streamlined as I can. Basically, what I want to point out is that there were quite a few big releases, some which probably would have made the Superplay Top 100 if we did it again. So if you ever did do it, another issue of Superplay, please God, if I was religious, it would be interesting to see what games would make it and which ones would drop out, you know. So basically, with Superplay, God, if I had £1 every time I said Superplay, I would not need to work for about a day. So with Superplay, there was a lot of import talk, as we've covered so many times. So some of the games that were featured in Nintendo Magazine System were covered in Superplay before it ended. But what I've got here is the final 4 issues. I just thought basically I'd pull those out because this is where Superplay started to focus a lot more on on the N64. So the Super Nintendo coverage really went down a lot. Now there were a few, like say, decent games still to be covered. So we have also got, like, in quite a few issues, you've got things like Kirby Super Deluxe Game, which is a Kirby Fun Pack. Again, bit of a feature on that and review, an import review. Same with Mario RPG. Really, that was the last time you got some really big reviews in Super Play. So here we are, Kirby Super Deluxe, Superstar Deluxe, getting a decent rating as well, which I'll just quickly show you. 89%, obviously recommendation. And when we've said in the past that this game is a Super Play Top 100 that aren't rated as high as that, you do wonder if it will get in. Same with Mario RPG, obviously Square's Swan Song on the Super Nintendo. There though, only getting 81%, so quite low. But anyway, we then had a few other big titles. So we had Street Fighter Alpha 2. Nice cover feature there, and they gave it a bit of a preview, but obviously not a review. So this really was quite a big title. Obviously you'd had Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo and Super Street Fighter 2, and then obviously you had Alpha 2 coming out as well. A game which is absolutely absolutely sought after. I know Phil, massive Capcom fan, obviously, co-founder of the show, he absolutely loves this, and he managed to get this at one of the games fairs last year. And then, as mentioned, you've got this, and you're looking at the last reviews. In fact, it's better just show you the contents pages really, where you've got a bit of news there on Donkey Kong Country 3, you know, coming soon. Bearing in mind this is the penultimate issue, Super Play is about to fold, and as I've said so many times, with games magazines, you know, we get thinner and thinner. Now Super Play didn't quite go that way. It had, you know, gone down a little bit, but even towards right at the end, it's still 84 pages, which isn't that embarrassing. You see some magazines, I remember getting ST Action as a kid, down to 30 odd pages. You know, it's like a pamphlet and we're charging £4 for it. So as you have a look there, there's only a couple of games reviewed, and basically the last couple of issues of Super Play, we're talking like very, very thin on the ground of reviews. So, to the point, 7 minutes in, basically what I want to point out is that there were still quite a few decent titles coming out. So Super Play ended, dated September 1996. So on the newsstands, July, August time 1996. So even though you've got the PlayStation, which is more and more popular, you've got the N64, which is due to get its UK release, you've still got the Swan Song for the Super Nintendo. So you're thinking, you still got Christmas 1996, you've got a couple of decent games coming out, as shown by Super Play, but actually not reviewed because obviously it folded. In that time though, the N64 had been delayed with its UK release, so that didn't exactly help matters. So you're thinking, if they were aware of the delay, and they may have been, I've not gone through all the news to remind my memory, would you have got, say, up to issue 50 of Super Play, you know, another 3 of them, taking up to the end of 1996? Or would you have gone up to issue 52, which then would take you up until dated March 1997, when the N64 actually got its UK release? So you're thinking then, another 3 or 5 issues of Super Play, was there enough stuff being released to actually make a magazine? As stated, it was going more and more N64 focused, and you just have to look at the last couple of issues, but there were still a few games. But when you have a look at just a comparison, I've got quite a late issue of Sega Power magazine, and that's got quite a few Mega Drive reviews in an issue around Christmas time. So you have a look at, you know, the issues like that, and you've got quite a few games to choose from, and some good rated games as well. And that's when Nintendo Magazine System comes in. Now, NMS, I'm just going to stick to NMS. I've covered it on here a few times. That started a month before Super Play. So we have got September, issue 48, the N64 Shockwave. Now, don't get me wrong, Nintendo Magazine System covers Super Nintendo. It also covers the Game Boy, and it also covers the N64. So even their coverage was starting to go more N64 focused. Not surprising, you know. Like I said with Super Play, you know, they even started reviewing a couple of N64 games. But looking at Nintendo Magazine System, they were still giving quite a lot of love for the Super Nintendo. Just an example straight away, making a big fuss of Street Fighter Alpha 2 on the next month page, and I have it there for Yoshi's Island. So, just to have a quick look at a few of the games. What I've got playing in the background is Donald Duck, Maui Mallard. Obviously, there's a lot of Disney 16-bit games back then. Not a bad game, not terrible. One of the ones that was reviewed in an NMS is Pinocchio, a game I actually have had. I think I had it on Mega Drive. I'm not keen on it, I did get rid of it. But you do wonder if Superplay will be impressed by it. As far as I know, it didn't get reviewed. I've not checked every single one of these. Like I said, this was obviously following on from a conversation we had last night, so I've just done a little bit of research, and I do hold my hands up if I am wrong. But there we go, rated 80%. So what I'm trying to do is just to have a quick look to see would there have been enough to make another few issues of Superplay. As mentioned, we've got a game called Wiz. Now, some of these being on Facebook buying groups, you do see obviously a lot of other fellow Super Nintendo collectors, and some of the titles I'm going to mention are quite sought after, especially in great condition as well, because around this time the Super Nintendo was on its way out. There's not as many copies of games on the shelf, so people do want them. Now, this one I got a while back, but I've got rid of it since. It's a game called Realm. I don't know if anyone's actually played it. It's a bit more like an Amiga type of shooty type platformer type thing. Not really that much of a great game, but as I said, I just got rid of it so quickly. Now, what I do want to move on to is this, one of the big games. So we have got Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Now, Mortal Kombat 3 and Mortal Kombat 2 did make the Super Nintendo Top 100. So, if Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 had been released in the Superplay lifespan, would it have made the list instead? So, just have a quick look, because I just got a couple of examples there. This was really just a feature on it. Another game which I think I've got this knocking about. No, I've got rid of it. Tetris Attack, which again, something like this Superplay would love, because 9 times out of 10 they rated the puzzle games quite highly. Obviously, as the consoles start to fade away, as said on the podcast before, you tend to get a lot more kid-friendly games, a lot more of the easy puzzle games and everything like that. A lot of crap, but a few decent ones, and this is where we're going to be coming up to in a moment. So just going to have a quick look, see if we've got a couple of quick examples in here. Just going to point this out because I've got it playing in the background, the Donald Duck game. I know that Alan White has had this on the Mega Drive. Up until recently, until I got the ROM of it, it's not something I'd actually played before. I mean, it looks really nice, like a lot of the Disney games. And they gave it 87%, so it's not badly rated at all. Definitely worth a bit of a play. But this is where the big games come in. So, we're getting up towards Christmas, 1996. The last roll of the dice really for the Super Nintendo before it really is on its way out and the N64 is about to come in. So I just want to whiz through those first few there. And what we have got is Donkey Kong Country 3. Now, when Donkey Kong Country came out in 1994, everyone was amazed by the graphics. Still looks fantastic now. Donkey Kong Country 2, still really popular. And then obviously the third one coming out to complete the trilogy, which I have got in my collection. Obviously not in the Superplay Top 100, but because I've got 1 and 2, I do want the third one as well. Funny story, well, not haha really, but on eBay there was a seller called eStocks, I think it was. Now, who eStocks were basically the eBay name of Music Magpie. Now, they also have a chain of stores called That's Entertainment. They have one in Manchester. I've not been to Manchester for a while, so I don't know if it's still there. But what they were selling was, it was just basically the dangers of using stock photos. Sorry, it's turned into a bit of a lecture. But what they were saying was, Donkey Kong Country 3 Super Nintendo, stock photo, that picture. What they sent out instead was a copy of Anger Management, the Adam Sandler film, on DVD. So when I've gone through my photos on Facebook, there's a picture of me trying to put my Adam Sandler Anger Management DVD into the Super Nintendo. Luckily, I did get it refunded because I think the buy it now was about a tenner. And when you have a look at the feedback, there were people who'd obviously been done by getting a copy of Anger Management. Quite ironic because they were probably quite angry, expecting a copy of Donkey Kong Country 3. However, you know, you live and learn. In fact, my mate Greg, he also tried it and again got his copy of Anger Management. But anyway, so Donkey Kong Country 3, just in time for Christmas, one of the big releases. You know, it really, really is. So what we've got here is a massive review. Now, you do wonder if this would make the Super Play Top 100, especially when you got games like Cool Spot in there, which is quite shit. Well, you know, there's better platformers, we'll say. So, big feature here for Donkey Kong Country 3. Going through all the family, loads and loads of stuff there. God almighty, I didn't realise it was this long. Obviously making the most out of getting a big review and a big title, so that's 6 pages. Really? 6, 7, 8 pages. $10 pages, and it's still going, showing every single level, bad guy and everything. 10, 11 pages. And what have we rated it? They have rated it 98%, which is absolutely amazing. So 98% for Donkey Kong Country 3. So it does make me wonder what Super Play would give it. They also review FIFA 97, something that I did get fairly cheap recently on Super Nintendo, but I do struggle with those isometric FIFA games now. And then another big release, bear in mind this is like the Christmas issue, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. So again, more fighters to choose from and things like that. Again, 6-page review for that, 90%. So you do wonder if that would make it as well. So this is what I mean. Granted, there was a few months of SimCity 2000 as well, bit of a strategy game. So another highly rated title as well, 93%. So that's, you know, a fair few games which are quite highly rated. And this is one I mentioned before, when you've got Super Nintendo collectors trying to get every single UK release. This game, Incantation, platformer, 78%. Not rated that highly, but I know it's quite scarce, and I'm not surprised with it being quite a late release. And then you've also got Williams Arcade Hits. This is where basically a lot of the crap and shelf filler comes in, really. You know, quite a few classic arcade games. 92% though, so it's rated well. And then NBA Live 1997, 83%. So at the end of 1996, you've got quite a lot of big titles there. And definitely enough to make a Super Play magazine from. Because, as I said, you know, 3 or 4 reviews for the last few issues, and you've got quite a lot there. Then we have got, I'm not going to go into all this too much because I'm wary of the time, Street Fighter Alpha 2, so a big release there. Again, really does hold its value, the game that is. I know Super Play did the preview of it, but it's had a really good review there, so you do wonder what they would rate it, especially with all 3 of the Street Fighter 2 games in the Super Play Top 100. So, you know, would one of those make it, you know, make the way? Would we take out Street Fighter 2 and put in Alpha 2, you know, more fighters? Obviously, it's really pushing the Super Nintendo. Now, this one is just, well, quite a weird issue in a way. It's the last issue of Nintendo magazine system. So this is February 1997. So just before the N64 is released. The final issue. So is this where Superplay would end? If it had finished on issue 52, it would finish around this time, just before the N64 release, and then obviously you go on to N64 magazine, and you would have obviously filled that gap in between. Now, all I want to do is quickly point out, not many releases in this at all. We have got 2 very small releases. Well, we've got NBA Hang Time, which isn't a bad game. I don't have Mega Drive, got rid of it fairly recently. A racing god called Versus, which is shite. But you have got one last big release, and it only got the UK release. It is Terranigma. Now, there's quite a lot of RPG fans here who listen to the show, and obviously we've covered RPGs as well. Yeah, that 90%. So, the last big release for the Super Nintendo, Terranigma, is in my collection. I'm not going to open it up because the box is absolutely shot at. Still just about holding together. Paid 40 quid for this off a mate, so I'm going for a really good price. It's complete, but it is a bit, battered and things on the corner. That's why I don't like opening it unless I have to. Just to wrap up then, really, my aim was to buy up to issue 60 of NMS, also as it's now known with the relaunch, or as it was known, Nintendo Magazine. So this was the March 1997, and it was for the new era, covering the N64, still covering Super Nintendo, just did Super Nintendo until the end of 1997, but it's more based around the tips and cheats. Hardly any reviews. I'm not going to start going through it all now. Just made a brief idea of notes there. So you still had a couple of okay releases. You had Lost Vikings 2, which I know is quite a scarce game now. A couple of puzzle games that I've never ever heard of. And then you also had Bomberman 5 that we reviewed on import, which only came out on Japanese. And Bomberman B Daman, I think it's pronounced. A game I've never actually played. So even for those like 6 issues, really going up to issue 60, where the Super Nintendo coverage really did die off, I feel like there's no chance that Superplay could have carried on after, the UK release of the N64. You may have got another 5 issues out of it. We may have got up to issue 52, a couple of players' guides, bit of news, obviously more N64 type stuff. I personally, I'm not just saying that as a massive fan, I personally don't believe it would have gone any thinner. I know that when I've spoke to Ali Harper, now Ali Binns, when we had her on the show last year, she was saying obviously the adverts were a big thing in the magazine, to help pay for it all. But I feel like there would have just been just about enough coverage, to get another 5 issues of Superplay, maybe with a couple of features that we were starting to bring in a lot more. Just having a quick count up. Bear in mind, I didn't write down every single game from those NMS magazines, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Probably about 25 titles, well, maybe 22. So you could have still stuck to the, 4 or 5 titles. I don't know what would have been on the covers. If we already covered Street Fighter Alpha 2, but no doubt Donkey Kong Country 3 would have been on there. Terranigma, almost guarantee it, especially with Superplay being massive RPG fans. So really, bit of a sort of bittersweet video this in a way, because obviously it's just what if. I don't know what would have actually been on issue 48. Would they have reviewed Terranigma a bit earlier? No doubt we would have made a big deal out of it. But yeah, that is really everything. So again, as we know, Superplay ended in issue 47. You did get N64 magazine, but I personally feel you could have got a few more issues. You could have at least got to the end of 1996. But again, we don't know what went on in those discussions with Future Publishing back in 1996. Okay, anyway, that's all from me. Please comment what you think on the video. Hopefully I've not bored you to death banging on again about magazines. I know some of you say stop saying you're banging about magazines. I want to make this more of a discussion piece really, so I do want to hear your feedback, and we'll see you very soon. But just before I go, I want to give a massive shout out to Julian, who's part of his first episode on his own, the Persona series, and a massive thank you as well to his co-presenter, Sarah, an American who is a massive RPG fan, so that's always good with me anyway. Interesting listening to the Persona episode, to see what I'm missing there, because I have got Persona 4, but I do need to get into it. But I know it's a very popular RPG series. Also, thanks to everyone who downloaded last month. We had our best ever month, which was amazing to see. And our next episode is the Super Nintendo Part 2 with Phil, Amy and Chris. And next month, meaning June, that's when we're going to be doing our top 50 rundown. So again, everyone who voted last month, thank you so much. So lots to come. And we are working on a few interviews as well. So lots to come. Anyway, alright, thanks a lot guys, see you soon, bye.